In days long since past, games were simple things, creations of passion, games fashioned for the sheer joy of play. These are the games that beckon to us, the Dusty Games. We are the Dusty Games Society, a fellowship of merry gamers who pine for the simpler days, when games did not coddle you like a baby, a time when formidable games were not the objects of dread, but beacons of celebration. I'll tell you more about the Dusty Games Society at the end of the video, but first, we have a game to share with you today, so clutch your controllers tight and prepare to traverse the perilous and exhilarating experience of Mega Man 3. When I was a little dweeb, I was nuts about Mega Man. I have a vivid memory of being home from school for some reason. I think I had a dentist appointment or something, and Mom took me over to the video store to rent a game, and the store had a new game in stock, Mega Man 2. I remember playing that game non-stop for like 2 days. I didn't try Mega Man 1 until I was older, but when Mega Man 3 was on the horizon, I was crazy excited. For a good chunk of my life, I was probably more into Mega Man than I was into like Mario or Ninja Turtles. Mega Man was my boy. I used to draw pictures of him and all the robot bad guys that he would fight. As a character, Mega Man himself isn't overly interesting. He doesn't really have much by way of a personality, at least in these old games, but the world itself had a ton of character because each area of the world is dominated by a boss, and each boss is super unique, but that uniqueness also spills over into the world itself. For example, take a look at Snake Man's level. Is there any doubt that there's a Snake Man at the heart of this snake place? No, there's not. As you journey through these difficult places, you get a feel for the villain at the heart of the place, and the tension rises as you work your way through the gauntlet that they set before you, getting psyched up to confront them and blast them in their stupid robot face. Actually, I take that back. These robots aren't stupid, they're freaking awesome. Except for Magnet Man. He's a lame loser. He's a magnet man, so let's take a man and put a magnet on his head. Yeah, I bet you thought real long and hard about that one, eh, Capcom? Not that I could do better. Speaking of which, let's quickly go through all the colorful characters inhabiting this hostile, deadly land, because I think, apart from the tough as nails gameplay, which we'll get to, the characters and their abilities are really what makes Mega Man games. To start off, we have the Wall of Bad Guys. All the old Mega Man games did it this way, except when they didn't, but they usually did. In Mega Man 3, we have Magnet Man, who we already know is the loser of the group. Needle Man is pretty cool. He's got this like Gatling gun on the top of his head that shoots needles. Gemini Man was always my favorite because I like his level, and also I'm a Gemini. Hard Man is just a big thick boy with a big thick fist. Top Man is a top. He spins, like a top. Snake Man is cool. He's a snake, obviously, but snakes are cool, and his level is all snaky. Spark Man is probably my favorite of the actual robot designs. I like that he feels more like an actual robot, rather than a dude in a robot suit. And Shadow Man is basically a ninja, and he throws his big ninja star boomerang thing. And then we have Dr. Wily, who's the main bad guy who built all these guys. And in Mega Man 3, there are more bad guy robots, but I don't want to spoil them because there's a fun twist that happens in the game when you learn who else is here. And then we have the good guys. We have Mega Man, obviously, who is built by Dr. Light. And he's just like the good guy scientist who built Mega Man. He's not really in the game much until the end. And we also have the dog, Rush. At first, you just have the jumping version, but eventually you get the flying and swimming version. And there's one more character, Break Man. And this guy is mysterious. He arrives with his trademark whistle and he attacks you, but he's not too hard and you're not really sure what the deal is with him. You find out eventually, but I remember young TechDweeb being excited to figure out who this mysterious character is that keeps showing up. The NES was so limited and so many games do not hold up graphically today, but Mega Man games definitely do. They're bright and colorful with lots of small details and fun animations and backgrounds that help immerse you. Mega Man 3 was the culmination of lots of visual evolution when it comes to the enemies and the levels. But what's interesting is that Mega Man himself is largely unchanged. He's a great little character with great animations, and they kinda hit the nail on the head in the first game. They didn't really need to change much. And the sound effects are great too. There are some satisfying feedback sounds when your shots hit that make them feel super satisfying. However, the music is absolutely amazing. The music in all the Mega Man games is great, and Mega Man 3 is the best of the best, in my opinion. These tunes are absolutely iconic and epic NES chiptunes, and I don't think there's a single track in the entire game that doesn't land. If you like retro chiptunes, then you need to listen to the entire Mega Man 3 soundtrack, and I dare you to tell me that it's not the best retro NES music that you've ever heard. Go ahead, I freaking dare you. You can't do it, can you? That's what I thought. The gameplay of Mega Man games isn't gonna be for everyone, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Mega Man games are hard. Games from this era were generally hard because of the restrictions of the cartridge. Most games were hard because it gave you more to do. If the game was a cakewalk, you'd feel like you didn't get your money's worth. So for a game like this, you can play it over and over and over and maybe get a little further each time, but it'll take you a while to get good and get to the end. The idea with Mega Man games is that you're going up against a series of bosses, and when you defeat the boss, you gain their power. However, each boss is particularly vulnerable against a specific power, so it's kind of a puzzle to figure out which order to defeat the bosses in. Some people like figuring that out on their own. I know I did back in the day, but if you just want to know the best order, you can look it up. Also, after you clear a stage, you'll get a code, which is how the game handles save games. You can write these down in a notebook, old school style, or use save states. Oh, I should mention that when I presented this game as the DGS Game of the Month, I included the extra challenge that it should be done without save states. But I will admit that I resorted to using a few between level save states late in the game, but barely any, I promise. Once you get through the bosses, you're not done. There's a twist in the plot that means you have a lot more game ahead of you. And then there's the assault on Dr. Wily's stronghold, which is big. There's lots of long levels with lots of bosses to fight in there. And then you get to the end and ideally defeat Wily and save the day. The Mega Man games are simple. They're not easy, they're hard games, and you do have to get good at them to complete them, but they're not complicated. You can run, you can jump, you can shoot, and starting in Mega Man 3, you can now slide, you can use different weapons, you can use your dog's different abilities, but that's pretty much it. It's just you and the game mechanics, and there's not many tips and tricks that you need to know that you can't figure out on your own. And figuring them out on your own is kinda half the fun. I felt like young TechDweeb again, because I'd forgotten all the little tricks that I used to know, and I got to relearn them with all the gamer skills that I've developed over the last 87 years or however long I've been alive. Playing old retro games is great for so many reasons, taking us back to a simpler time, reminding us who we are and where we're from, learning about gaming history, enjoying the games for what they are. But one amazing thing that I don't think I've really talked about much is it's actually one of the main reasons that I love playing the games that I played as a young dweeb, is that I'm way better at games now. So all these things that confounded and frustrated young TechDweeb are within my adult capacity to handle. It's like going back in time and teaching a lesson to the bullies that pushed me around. It's the dweeby fantasy come true. Mega Man 3 is my all-time favorite of all the Mega Mans that I've played, and I've played most of them. I don't know if it's technically the best, but this is the one that has stuck with me over the years. It's my favorite game in one of my all-time favorite series, and I'm happy to see that it holds up in 2024. I had a blast playing this for the Dusty Game Society, but the Dusty Game Society isn't a one-man show, and I think quite a few of the other Dusty Dweebs enjoyed this one too. So let's see what they had to say about it, shall we? Shady doesn't have anything witty or exciting to say about Mega Man, but they do talk about the Saturday morning cartoon Mega Man theme song. And Shady, yeah, I know that you just put that song in there because you wanted me to sing it in this video, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm not playing your games. You're playing my games. That's the arrangement that's we got here. Kami Motu 125 went Mega Man crazy this month. He beat Mega Man 3 right away and then went on to beat like every other freaking Mega Man game. This dweeb is a Mega Man god. If any of the Dusty Dweebs are Mega Men, then this truly is the megaist of men. Or woman, a mega person. You're mega, Kamimoto, is what I'm saying. Well done. Rufus Renegade says that this is his first Mega Man game, but his last, because it was too hard. Yeah, man, these games are not easy, but if you stick with them, you do get better and better. But yeah, I get that they're not for everyone. I'm glad you like the music, though. Empty Vessel thought that Mega Man 3 was one of the weaker in the series, that it overstays its welcome with the twist in the middle, and I do actually agree with that part. It does feel like the game drags on a little because it kind of feels like you're at the end, but then it keeps on going. Only gave it 4 out of 10, so obviously Mega Man 3 isn't for everyone, and that's okay. Quick gave it 6 gamer tears out of 10. That's fair, that's fair. Super Scatman says another solid choice this month, solid soundtrack, sprite work, gameplay, has some rough difficulty spikes, but it's doable because you can keep trying over and over again. 7 energy tanks out of 10. Ripska enjoyed the challenge and finally playing a Mega Man game all the way through inspired them to try some others. Nice, buddy. That's the best part about the Dusty Game Society right there. The Shibushi makes an amazing point. Many games are about the big boss fight and the journey to the boss can be boring, but Mega Man is the opposite. Yeah, you can beat the boss easily with the right weapon, but the journey is the challenge. That was poetic. The Night Clerk makes a good point too, how Breakman appears and sort of trains you for the pattern that you need to learn for the boss later in the level. I honestly never noticed that, and you just blew my mind just now. Justin Mann says it was much harder than he remembers as a kid, but the chiptunes still hit the same. And yeah, the tunes in this game are genuinely amazing. Some of the best retro music in this one. Beowulf 410 says that going back to this game brought back memories of dying over and over again. Really tough, and there were moments when their handheld would have flown straight into a wall if they weren't a mature grown-up. I think we all feel the same way, buddy. Bits and Bytes thought Mega Man 3 was a tough cookie but had a blast, and felt the game can be hard and unforgiving, but the rewards are so much greater when you reach that level boss and finally beat them after a couple tries. And I 100% agree with that. It feels great when you finally get the skills you need to get through the hard parts. And yeah, the password system, because this game uses a password that you can write down. That means that you can continue your game on any device without needing to muck about with save games. And Pixel RPG thought the game was fun overall, liked hunting for retro achievements, loved the music, the vibrant style, 2.5 Dr. Wawies out of 5, whatever that means. As our journey through the pixelated landscapes of Mega Man 3 concludes, we hope you felt the pulse of what the Dusty Game Society cherishes. Just as a book club gathers to delve into the pages of literary classics, so do we unite to revisit the cherished classics of gaming. Each month a new game is presented for us to play together, discuss, and enjoy its nuances all month long. But how do you join the Dusty Game Society, you ask? Oh, the Dusty Game Society is an exclusive circle available only to the patrons of TechDweeb. Yup. If you're not yet a patron and feel called to join our digital roundtable, you can sign up through the Patreon link provided below. Thank you sincerely for tuning in. I hope you find as much joy in challenging the robot masters of Mega Man 3 as we have this month, but that brings us to the end of our time together today. Until next time, farewell and stay dusty, my friends.